Leadership has always been about influence, but somewhere along the way, we started treating responsibility like it was optional. We talk about impact like it's a campaign. We treat giving back like an add on. And we quietly delegate responsibility to marketing teams, committees, or once a year initiatives. But if you lead people, resources, or systems, you already have impact. The question is not whether you're creating impact. The question is whether it's intentional. Leadership is influence, and influence carries responsibility. If you're a CEO, entrepreneur, or business owner that can't seem to figure out what is blocking you from attaining the next level of growth in your business, then listen up. I'm Maria De Lorenzo Reyes. I've taken what I've learned in 30 years working inside multi-million-dollar corporations, building my own business, and consulting my clients, and discovered 5 themes that stop a business from scaling. I've created a tool to help you get the answers you need to get unstuck and unlock the next level of growth. Head over to scale.mariadr.com and click the link to get your custom Scale Factor Formula scorecard when this episode is over. Hey everybody, welcome back to Finding the Upside. I'm your host, Maria De Lorenzo Reyes. Thanks so much for joining me today. Before we dive in, I want to introduce to you what we are starting here today. Today's episode is part 1 of a 4-part mini-series that I'll be doing over the next coming weeks called Leadership That Gives Back. This series exists, and I chose to do it because leadership is changing, and it's changed. We have a lot of work to do to bring it where it needs to be and embed this, but unfortunately, there's many leaders, and the models are still there, that are operating from outdated rules. And over the next 4 episodes, we're going to talk really honestly about impact, responsibility, profit, purpose, and belonging, not just as abstract ideas, but as leadership decisions that shape culture, performance, and trust. Now, if you're listening and you're like, I don't have a leadership role, remember, I talk about leadership from the perspective of it's not about a title. It's about who you are, how you show up to impact the people around you, whether that is in a traditional role of leading people in a team, in a company, or working beside people on your team, working in families, showing up and living your life in your community and your family. That's what all these lessons apply to. This is not about performative philanthropy. This isn't about branding. What I'm talking about, leadership that gives back, is leadership architecture. How leaders build organizations that do well and do good. So in this first episode, let's talk about that a little more deeply. Leadership has always been about influence, but somewhere along the way, we started treating responsibility like it was optional. We talk about impact like it's a campaign. We treat giving back like an add-on. And we quietly delegate responsibility to marketing teams, committees, or once a year initiatives. But if you lead people, resources, or systems, you already have impact. The question is not whether you're creating impact. The question is whether it's intentional. Leadership is influence, and influence carries responsibility. We've seen that abandoned in so many spaces and examples of leadership today. Culture is not what you say you value. Culture is revealed by what you fund, what you tolerate, and what you ignore. And you know I've talked about that on this podcast in the last couple of years. That's why when we announced the MDR Give Back model, we did it publicly. Not for optics, but for accountability. You're going to be seeing some of the shares. I just shared in one of the closing episodes of 2025 what the impact of that program was. And you're going to be seeing some screenshots, some real proof, if you will, and accountability of the commitment that we made. And the reason for that is because leadership doesn't live in silence. It lives in decisions. Most leaders don't avoid impact because they don't care. They avoid it because they're afraid. They're afraid of getting it wrong, afraid of being judged, afraid of opening a door that they don't yet know how to walk through. It's not modeled enough. There are companies that are doing this very well, but it's still dismissed in the business culture by all those outdated models that our economic capitalistic system holds up. And before people get crazy, I am not against capitalism, but I am for conscious capitalism. Responsibility doesn't disappear just because we're uncomfortable naming it or talking about it. So if you lead, you already matter. And remember, if you show up around people, you have impact, even not in a traditional sense. Your voice matters. What you do matters. Your decisions ripple. Your silence speaks. So the question isn't whether you have impact. It's whether you're willing to own it. So I'm going to leave you with this mini episode today, which is part 1 of Leadership That Gives Back. And in the next episode, we're going to tackle the myth that leaders have been sold, that profit and purpose can't coexist. And I will be breaking that down to dismantle it and bring a new model as the norm. Thanks for joining me today. I look forward to seeing you on the next episode of Finding the Upside. All right, so I hope you loved this episode and found it valuable. Thanks for hanging out with me. And if you'd be so kind, if you know someone else that this will help, please share this episode with them. Just grab a link for this specific episode, text it to a friend or colleague so it can help more people like you. Thanks so much for tuning in. I will see you next time for more entrepreneurial goodness. Same time, same place on the Finding the Upside podcast.